Howdy everyone, Poacher here with an Age of Magic video, and in today's video we're doing the Hero Spotlight for Gerda, the caster for the Van Norths. She is the latest Hero Pass hero. We'll go over her stats, we'll look at her abilities and have a bit of a mess around with her in Arena, see what she is capable of. At completely maxed out 15 gear, we've got hit points coming in at 21 million, speed 252, armor 311k, magic damage resistance 1.2 million, basic magic damage 3.3 million. Then we've got magic critical hit chance 60, which is very high. It needs to be high though, because her abilities kind of revolve around critting, and magic crit damage is 6.4 million. So she's got really high magic damage resistance. Or does she have low armor? Unsure, but one of these is high. One of these high or one of these is low. You figure it out. But there we go. And the more in-depth stats for you to have a look at, feel free to stop and take anything you need from there. And total power is 67,902. Not that important. Total power is not really used at anything. It just sorts your heroes out. That's all you need to know about total power. So there we go. Gerda, the complete kit. This is her. And we'll jump into the arena. We'll go over her abilities at non-awakened and awakened, but then we'll do a battle with full awakened, and we'll see what she is capable of. Reminder, though, that the Van Norths, most of their power comes from awakening, so keep that in mind. So let's jump over to the arena. Jumping into the arena, we have Gerda's basic polar butterfly. Performs a magic attack on one target. Damage is increased by 10% for every effect on the target, except the ones from passive abilities. Has a 50% chance to deal additional damage equal to 10% of her basic damage for every effect of the passive and leader abilities on the target. Then we can jump over to her awakened version, which is damage is increased by 50%. Additional damage is increased. So again, awakening, not super important. It's just a damage increase, and it's not the best damage increase we've seen. It's a standard one, and the additional damage, which is a 50% chance to land. So is the gamble worth it? Who knows? We'll go ahead and look at the basic animation on the Ramfit. Should be nice. Okay, just a little butterfly shoots across the field. There you go. Nothing crazy about this ability at all. It's pretty much just a damaging ability. There's no super benefit to it. You're not removing buffs. You're not increasing damage the enemy takes. And yeah, it would be nice if it could remove buffs, but is what it is. This 50% chance at the bottom. If that could remove buffs instead of doing additional damage, that would be nice. But again, it's just a basic. So there we go. We'll move on to her next ability. Moving on to Gerda's second ability, we have Ice Shards. Performs a magic attack on all enemies. When dealing critical damage, it casts Icy Promise on the target. The following effects successfully cast by the target are guaranteed to be absorbed by the allied veneer. Icy Promise is removed after absorption. The critical damage of this skill is increased by 10% for every allied van. Moving on to the awakened version, we have damage is increased by 50%. If the target has a veneer mark, the attack is guaranteed to be critical. So we'll have a quick look at the animation and the damage as well. Then we'll talk about a few things. So out comes the ability. She summons a Frost Orb and bang, shoots out some nice damage. Now, things to remember as well. You've got characters like Roxanne who can block debuffs on herself at the beginning of a battle, but you can still apply debuffs to the enemy. The debuff, though, can be purged. So keep that in mind. The next big thing is the awakening of this ability. Damage, if the target has a veneer mark, the attack is guaranteed to be critical. Now, there are two characters on a veneer team that they utilize the veneer mark quite effectively. So you're going to have to determine which one to use. So the other character is Starvold. Damage and critical damage is increased by 25%. If the target has a veneer race mark, the attack deals an additional 25% of the current HP. So he can get a lot of damage spread out across all enemies. So you're going to have to determine which one you really want to use. Just judging by this description, it seems that Starvold would get the most benefit of triggering the mark at the beginning of the battle. And as the big fight progresses, then Gerda will benefit more as his damage decreases as they lose HP. So just keep that in mind. Nice ability, lots of damage. Could be worth awakening if her whole, with the veneer, the Van Norths lack damage. Their damage comes primarily from Ulfrin, and it takes a bit of work up before that damage comes out. If you're doing it in order, it's 3 turns before he's actually going to perform his damage ability. And you do have Grotto who can actually do decent damage as well, but yeah, they lack damage. So to have Gerda in the team who is able to perform damage quite quickly in the battle and take care of some buffs, she's much more effective than Freyhel, and I think she'd be much more effective than Freyhel if Freyhel even had Awakening, depending on what it was. The only thing that I think would change the difference is Freyhel's Awakening for her initiative reduction ability bypassed any initiative protection. I think that would give her an extreme use to this team, but at the moment she is one of the primary damage dealers for this team, and to awaken the ability is increasing the damage by a significant amount, so it's worth considering for sure, but a lot more testing would have to go into it. Moving on to her third ability, we have Icy Kiss performs a magic attack on all enemies. If the selected target is slowed, Ice Block is cast on it and 2 other random slowed enemies for 2 turns. While under Ice Block, the target skips a turn and cannot dodge attacks or take any active actions. If the Veneer makes successful attacks on such a target, the debuff is removed. So it kind of works like Idril's Sleep, and the target and their allies receive damage equal to 100% of the target's armor, physical plus magical. Other allied Veneer receive bonus equal to 5 absorbed effects. If Ulfrin's in the squad, he attacks a random enemy. Looking at the Awakened version as well, damage is increased by 50%. Ice Block is also cast on targets with Disorient, Shock, Blind, and other effects that reduce the dodge chance. So it's becoming more effective, able to apply to more targets, because being able to apply only to slow targets is fairly restricting. So not bad. We'll look at the animation of the ability as well. She'll go ahead, fly across into the middle and do a bit of an ice storm. Do some nice damage. Ulfrin comes through, gets a nice little support attack there. Ulfrin's showing off when he gets the chance to. And yeah, nothing insane about this ability. It's the skip turn thing, but again, they need to be slowed. So taking into consideration things like enemies that can fortify, Knights of the Council, huge fortification applications. Again, debuff so it can be purged. It's a lot of stuff you need to work around for it to be effective. But again, it can do a lot of damage, and that's her primary role is damage, but she has the ability to control the enemy as well. It's just with the meta and the way the game is evolving, there's just a lot more heroes who are just able to, I guess, protect themselves against control from the enemy. It's a lot harder. It's something that's very hard to start when the battle initiates. You can't get a lot of control out off the bat. It's something that comes into play a bit later on into the field. So just keep that in mind. Again, big damage. Yeah, we really have to go through the whole team and find out who's applying any of these 3 things. So I know Ulfrin can apply this with his second ability. So I believe Ulfrin moves first as well. So I guess that would be the setup. Ulfrin and then Icy Kiss. But both of these abilities, her second and her third, it's really hard to figure out which one you'd want to cast first. I guess it's situational. I just can't see a clear path. So again, there'll be testing. Keep that in mind. And then we have her final ability, her passive. So let's jump straight into that. Forbidding Fairy. At the start of the turn, it deals magic damage to 3 random enemies equal to 10% of her basic damage per effect on the target. If Starvold is in the squad, he starts the battle with Veneer Fury instead of Wit. When Starvold is the leader, this rule applies to all allied Veneer. If Grotto is in the squad, he now casts Shield on himself as well as his allies. Magic Absorption. Every time an enemy tries to cast a buff or debuff, they have an 8% chance of failing. The chance is calculated for every effect. For every effect absorbed by an ally van, Gerda slows a random enemy by 50% for 2 turns. In Cradle of Chaos, at the beginning of every round, Gerda slows all enemies for 2 turns. And the Awakened version, Slowdown is also cast on enemies in raids. At the start of turn, it deals magic damage to all enemies. Yeah, nice. Okay, that's a pretty decent support passive. It's changing how the Veneer work a fair amount. I think Starvold starting off with Fury is a lot more beneficial, I believe. Let's have a look at Fury. Where is it? It's a very... My colorblind doesn't help me here. Oh, here we are, Vanilla Fury. Okay. Target initiative cannot be lowered. Target's initiative cannot be... Damage received is increased by 20% and damage dealt is increased by 30. So the Vanilla are going to take more damage at the start of the fight, but Gerda, who is now going to be your lead damage dealer, is going to be able to perform damage at a higher rate and more successfully as well. So that's the benefit, I guess, of having her on the team. Whereas without her, Starvold was set up to let Ulfrin get the max damage out, but now with her in the team, it's the opposite. So I think it works better. I think that initial burst of damage could help you. And you got to face healers then. But hopefully you can get slows out, you can get stuns out. The ice block, whatever it's called, from her. Here we go, yep. If I can look at the ability, got to click on her, there we go. Ice block, yeah, ice block. So very interesting. I think she is a decent hero, but we'll go into a battle. Now, this battle is going to be the Van North's Fully Awakened versus the Fully Awakened version of the Cloud Wanderers. Though, remember, only 2 of these characters are awakened, and we have 5 on this team, so keep that in mind. However, after I do this video, after I do the spotlight, the next goal is to try and figure out what are the absolute necessary skills to awaken in the Van North. So, let's jump into a battle and see how the team performs as a whole and in order. So, jumping into battle, we've got to a 2x speed now. Yeah, so we can't really utilize the Veneer mark because the Cloud Wanderers are... Yeah, you can't apply the marks. We've got to keep that in mind. Grotto takes the shields out. We take a lot more damage now as well, so we've got to keep that in mind. We're going to go ahead and cast. Do we have slows out? No, we do not. So we're going to go ahead and cast our second ability. Some nice damage out. Ooh, nice damage. Okay, and we follow through with the damage ability from Halus, and we take out 2 of the targets. So far, so good. We got a bit of absorb coming out. We get the AoE from the Roxanne. We're going to go ahead and we can do the AoE or we can cast coordination. Let's go ahead and cast coordination. Alright, we're going to go get our Frost Shake out. We're going to go get some health back. There's no one that can do big damage now to the point where it's taking out a hero. We have no slows, but this is AoE, so it's going to bypass Ramford. Oh, it doesn't take out Ever, but the support attack from Ulfrin comes through. Nice. And we can bypass. She have... Oh, yeah. Nice. Okay. We don't need to heal, so let's basic and take out Ever. Can't resurrect because we have Halus, and we go with our damage. And from here, it's just whittling down the Flyboy. Nothing we can really do. Let's go 4x speed. We'll do the rotation, though, as we would. We could just use our basics if we wanted to. And there we go. Beautiful. Very effective. I think she's... Yeah, really nice. But please remember, that is fully awakened. That is a fully awakened team of heroes. I think... I'm trying to think. I think off the top of my head, this is the first team in the game to have all awakenings available. But there you go. They perform decent. Decent. She is able to do a lot of damage. I think she's probably the best Veneer, to be honest, Van North. Reading his abilities and now making me call him Veneer, and I hate it. They're the Van Norths. But there you go. Yeah, it's a very heavy investment version of the team. But now the goal is trying to figure out what we can cut out and how to get this team to work optimally with as few awakenings as possible. So those videos will come next. So stay tuned for those. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I will answer them to the best of my ability. And wherever you are in the world, until next time, please take care of yourself.